All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children, men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts. The trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. And the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Alphabet Mafia, Minority Rule Through Decentering Common Sense, written by Conrad Riker, available now, links in description. The Female Inquisition, how projection, loyalty tests, and leftist fairy tales are destroying men, and how to fight back with logic, laughter, and liberty. You know that sinking feeling when you realize you've been lied to your entire life about women, about marriage, about what it means to be a man in this rotting civilization. I did. I woke up in the divorce court standing before a judge who looked at me like I was a virus, while my ex-wife, the one who cheated, lied, and weaponized our children, played the wounded dove. She accused me of emotional neglect, me, the man who paid every bill, held down 3 jobs, changed diapers at 3 a.m. while she scrolled TikTok. But in the gynocentric circus we live in, facts are irrelevant. Emotion is law. And women, especially the resentful ones, have mastered the art of flipping reality. They withdraw, they sabotage, they cheat, then you become the abuser. This isn't an anomaly, it's the system. In America, 70% of divorces are initiated by women, and in 90% of custody cases, fathers are denied meaningful access to their children, despite being equally or more capable. Meanwhile, 80% of homeless people in family shelters are women and children, yet somehow, toxic masculinity is to blame. Let's be honest, the female psyche, when unchecked by virtue or consequence, runs on projection like a diesel engine runs on crude. She projects her boredom onto your ambition, her infidelity onto your vigilance, her emotional laziness onto your silence. Eve blamed Adam, Jocasta cursed Oedipus, Clytemnestra butchered Agamemnon for going to war, her idea. The script hasn't changed. What has changed is the scale. Feminism took this ancient feminine reflex and industrialized it. Me Too wasn't about justice, it was mass projection on steroids. A few real abuses buried under a landfill of "he looked at me funny" claims used to justify purging male social confidence, leadership, and humor. And you're expected to nod, apologize, and pay. But here's the red pill detonation you've been starved for. None of this is about fairness. It's about power. Women test you constantly, not for love, but for control. Changed her hair? Did you notice? No? Then you're emotionally unavailable, a diagnosis handed down like a papal edict. A study showed 78% of women feel devalued if their man doesn't spot a new haircut, even if he's working 80 hours to keep a roof on her head. This isn't affection, it's a loyalty interrogation disguised as romance. And don't think the workplace is safe. Walk into any office and watch the ballet. Women changing outfits daily, not for comfort, but to harvest male attention like farmers, tilling soil. One woman told me she wore a red dress on Monday, a blue one Tuesday, then asked her male colleague which he preferred. When he said both, she accused him of not paying attention. What kind of madness is this? It's the attention economy matrix in action. Her appearance as currency, your gaze as transaction, and your soul as collateral. Meanwhile, the left, that sewer of self-hating intellectuals, peddles fantasies like worker self-management, Tito's failed Yugoslav experiment where democratic workplaces became stagnant, corrupt, and broke by 1980. They preach equality, but what they deliver is envy, mediocrity, and the slow strangulation of excellence. And while they dismantle competence, they demand men laugh at ourselves, but only if we're woke enough. No, the real laugh test is this. Can you mock your own ego, your illusions, your blue-pilled past? Churchill joked about being drunk and lazy, yet led nations. Today's alphas on YouTube sulk if you tease them. Fragile, hollow sigma poses with the emotional depth of a puddle. This book, it's your exorcism. From the projection shield to the humor filter, we're arming you with logic, wit, and the unapologetic truth because the West wasn't built by appeasers. It was forged by men who saw through the lies, loved the good, pursued the true, and defended the beautiful even when it cost them everything. The mirror of female resentment, how projection became the feminine default. Every woman I've ever known who called me emotionally absent was emotionally radioactive. I said this at a men's retreat in Tennessee, and 20 pairs of eyes lit up like church candles. One man stood, cleared his throat, and said, "Bro, she didn't call you emotionally absent, she made you emotionally absent. She punished every honest word, weaponized tears at vulnerability, and then accused you of not opening up. That's not neglect, that's entrapment." And there it was, the mirror of female resentment, polished over centuries, now held up to every decent man who dares to live by truth instead of appeasement. Let's autopsy the modern divorce court, a gladiator arena where women, after years of silent treatment, infidelity, or psychological sabotage, suddenly discover they've been neglected or emotionally abandoned. I've read affidavits where a woman claims her husband was distant while she was sexting her yoga instructor and hiding credit card debt. One man I know, a neurosurgeon, father of 3, was told by his wife of 15 years that he never listened. When he asked for examples, she said, "You didn't notice I changed my haircut." He replied, "You cut it Tuesday." "It's Thursday. I've been in 2 surgeries and a board meeting. Should I have called you from the OR to compliment your bangs?" The judge awarded her spousal support. That's not justice, that's theater, a ritualized humiliation of male productivity, dressed up as feminist liberation. The data doesn't lie. Women are significantly more likely to blame others for negative outcomes, especially when their ego or status is threatened. Eagley and Wood, 1991, found that women attribute failure to external causes far more than men do, particularly in social domains. Vrucht and Coaly, 2003, confirmed this. When self-image is on the line, women escalate attributional bias. Translation: when she's wrong, you are made guilty. This isn't psychology, it's warfare. And it's been mythologized since the garden. Eve didn't say, "I ate the fruit and lied to my husband." No, she said, "The man you gave me tempted me." The first woman in history blamed her husband for her own disobedience. And every female-led tribunal since, family courts, HR departments, Twitter mobs, has been reenacting that original lie. Then came Me Too, a legitimate outcry against predators, hijacked and inflated into a full-scale cultural exorcism of normal male sexuality. A man flirts at a party, predator. He compliments a colleague's presentation. Harassment, the movement turned every bar joke, every office glance into a war crime, while actual abusers like Bill Clinton or Harvey Weinstein's enablers slipped through on technicalities or connections. The truth? Women are more likely to initiate sexual contact in workplaces. National Center for Biotechnology Information, 2015, and false accusations in sexual misconduct cases hover around 8 to 10%, but the damage is infinite. One accusation, even if debunked, ends careers, marriages, lives. And who benefits? The industry of victimhood, lawyers, therapists, NGOs, universities, all feeding off the carcass of male reputation. I call it the resentment inflation cycle. She feels inadequate. Maybe her career stalled, her looks faded, her marriage bored her. Instead of self-reflection, she projects the failure onto you. You don't support me, you're cold, you ruined my life. If you resist, she amplifies. She tells friends, she journals dramatically. She sees a therapist who pathologizes your boundaries as narcissism. Then she files for divorce and slaps a restraining order on you for emotional abuse, defined as not agreeing with her. The system rewards escalation. It doesn't care about truth, it cares about narrative, and the default narrative. Man bad, woman victim, repeat until civilizational collapse. This isn't just projection, it's psychological jujitsu. Women don't argue with facts. They weaponize shame. They know the culture is genocentric. They know that in a conflict, the woman will be presumed truthful, the man presumed guilty. So they bypass logic entirely and go straight for the jugular, your reputation. They accuse, they cry, they collapse, and suddenly you are the monster for daring to defend yourself. It's not a defense mechanism, it's a control matrix. And feminism didn't expose it. Feminism institutionalized it, turned female dissatisfaction, career frustration, romantic disappointment, personal failure into a global class action lawsuit against men, as if the entire gender is responsible for one woman's bad choices. I've developed a projection shield, a daily mental drill for men. Every morning, I rehearse the false accusations. You don't care. You're selfish. You're abusive. And I rehearse the calm, fact-based rebuttals. I paid the mortgage. I attended every school meeting. I haven't touched you in anger. Where is the evidence? Not emotional, not defensive, forensic. Because in the arena of modern relationships, your character is the only asset that can't be seized unless you let them redefine it. Socratic questioning is your scalpel. What exactly did I do when? Who witnessed it? Can you show me a text, a receipt, a timeline? Watch them crumble. The moment you demand evidence, the spell breaks. Freud's narcissism of small differences explains the root rot. Women don't resent men for their flaws. They resent them for their strengths, for their stability, for their ability to walk away, for their silence under pressure. They want what we have, inner sovereignty, but they were taught to get it through manipulation, not mastery. So when a man lives with discipline, purpose, and emotional regulation, it haunts them. It exposes their own lack, and rather than grow, they seek to pull him down through guilt, accusation, and social exile. It's not personal, it's existential. I've seen men reduced to husks by this game, suicidal, bankrupt, alienated from their kids, all because they believe the lie that love means surrender. But love is not groveling. Love is not self-erasure. Love is two sovereign beings choosing each other daily. Anything less is slavery with flowers and the remedy. See the mirror. When she says you're the problem, ask, is this about me or about her inability to face herself? When she accuses, demand proof. When she weaponizes emotion, respond with logic. And when the system sides with her anyway, leave. Not just the relationship, leave the script. Leave the lie that her feelings are sacred and yours are disposable. It started with a whisper, another you didn't notice, and I realized I was living in a world where my attention had become currency and I was bankrupt. I wasn't failing as a man, I was failing a ritual, a silent test written in invisible ink that only women could read. And they weren't just testing me, they were grading me, comparing me, stacking my responses like poker chips in a game I never agreed to play. This wasn't love, it wasn't partnership. It was performance, surveillance, and punishment disguised as intimacy. The test of observation, is he watching her or is she testing his devotion? Do you even see me, she said, not with curiosity, but with the quiet fury of someone who has already decided the answer. I didn't change my shirt, I didn't grow a beard, I didn't dye my hair neon green and start a podcast. But she did again, same week. New eyeliner, new top, hair pulled back differently, like a minor variation in a fugue by Bach that only the composer notices. And now I'm on trial. Not for cheating, not for lying, not for failing to pay the rent, but for failing to observe, as if my soul is being weighed not by my deeds, but by my retinal acuity. This isn't love, this isn't intimacy. This is performance auditing, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that in corporate offices from Chicago to Cheltenham, men are quietly being gaslit into emotional bankruptcy by women who treat their appearance like a loyalty test. Every morning, they walk in, new outfit, new scent, new nail color, and silently demand that men perform a daily inventory. Miss a change? You're not paying attention. Compliment too much? You're desperate. Say nothing? You're emotionally dead. It's a mating tribunal disguised as fashion, and it's running 24/7 in every Starbucks, every boardroom, every WhatsApp group where women whisper, "He didn't even notice I got my eyebrows done." Let's cut through the feminist fog. Women don't change their appearance for themselves. That's the lie they sell on TikTok in those vapid get ready with me videos where they spend 17 minutes contouring their cheekbones while whispering, "This is for me." No, it's not. It's for the gays. Every swipe of mascara, every new pair of heels, every subtle haircut is a signal flare shot into the social sky. Look at me, rate me, validate me. And the men who fail to salute the flare are branded neglectful despite working, providing, protecting, and loving in ways that actually matter. The Gildersleeve study 2014 found that 78% of women feel less valued when their partner doesn't notice appearance changes. Let that soak in. Nearly 4 out of 5 women use visual surveillance as a proxy for love. That's not romance. That's emotional terrorism with eyeliner. This isn't new. It's evolutionary on the Pleistocene savanna. A woman lacking male attention lacked protection, food, and the chance to bear children. Noticing danger or distress wasn't optional, it was essential. A man who failed to register her cold, her wound, her pregnancy, was a man who might leave her behind. So the drive to test male awareness became embedded in survival. But now, we're no longer on open grasslands. We're in climate-controlled workplaces, texting symbols, scrolling through matches, while women still operate on the same deep-rooted loyalty mechanisms, demanding men be alert, intuitive, relentlessly attentive. The issue? That impulse is now overstimulated in a culture of elevated mating choices, where women move between partners like changing channels, treating appearance shifts as tryouts for higher value prospects. Every fresh style is a rehearsal for the next crowd. I've seen men broken by this. A friend of mine married, faithful, hardworking, got divorced because he failed to notice his wife had trimmed her bangs, not cheated, not abused her, not failed to provide, but missed the haircut. And in the family court, where women win 80% of custody cases even when false allegations are proven, he was labeled emotionally unavailable. That's the trap. The observation test isn't about care, it's about control. Fail it, and you're punished. Pass it, and you're conditioned to keep watching, keep scanning, keep servicing the narcissistic feedback loop. You become a human CCTV system, monitoring lipstick shades like a forensic analyst. And don't think this stays private. I've seen female co-workers in corporate settings change outfits 3 times a day. Not for comfort, not for weather, but to provoke reaction. One woman in a London finance firm told me she kept 3 full wardrobes in her office. Power suits, casual Friday, and date night chic, just to see which male colleagues would comment. She admitted, "If they don't notice, I know they're not interested. And if they're not interested, they're not loyal." This is mating market warfare in pinstripes. The office isn't a workplace. It's a courtship arena where women run loyalty drills while men are expected to perform emotional calisthenics just to avoid being labeled neglectful. The remedy, disengage. Refuse the test. When she changes her hair, say nothing. When she buys new shoes, don't ask. Break the cycle. Because every time you comment, you reinforce the idea that her value is tied to your gaze, and that your love is measured in noticing eyeliner. Train yourself to treat appearance changes like weather. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it's sunny, but you don't write a poem about it every time. This isn't indifference, it's wisdom. It's reclaiming your mind from the attention economy matrix, where women's bodies are monetized, men's attention is harvested, and relationships are reduced to a series of loyalty quizzes scored by narcissistic metrics. Let's be clear, a man who loves a woman doesn't need to pass a visual inspection. He shows it in consistency, in courage, in character. He shows it by standing between her and chaos. But the modern woman, conditioned by feminism, by social media, by a culture that worships female victimhood, has turned love into a surveillance state. And men, too many are still playing along like trained pigeons pecking at a screen for a crumb of approval. Stop, you are not a drone, you are not a camera. You're a man, a sovereign soul, not a censor in her narcissistic network. The next time she asks, "Do you even see me?" look her in the eye and say, "I see you. Not your clothes, not your hair. You, and I don't need a new outfit to remind me why I chose you." Then walk away. Let the silence do its work, because freedom begins the moment you stop treating female appearance as a loyalty test and start treating yourself as a subject, not an object in her endless performance. It hit me during a debate with a self-proclaimed radical egalitarian who claimed that any boss was inherently oppressive, like gravity or herpes, that the entire worker self-management myth isn't about justice, but about envy. Not the noble kind that drives a man to train harder, but the festering, soul-rotting kind that resents competence, despises excellence, and would rather see the ship sink than let one man captain it. That's when I realized this isn't a theory of liberation. It's a psychological weapon disguised as philosophy, engineered to level all men down to the same muddy puddle of mediocrity. And history? History laughs at it, cruelly, loudly, and with receipts. The myth of worker self-management, why Titoism failed and why the left keeps reviving it. Equality is not the absence of hierarchy, but the denial of it until the rot sets in. I once watched a Silicon Valley startup collapse because the founders, high on kombucha and Marxism, decided to let junior coders veto the lead architect. Within 6 months, the app had more bugs than a compost heap, and the investors fled like rats from a sinking ship. This is the real-world face of worker self-management, a utopian fantasy that ignores 10,000 years of human history, from the pyramids to the Manhattan Project, where someone had to make the hard call, take responsibility, and lead. Tito's Yugoslavia peddled the same lie, workers' councils running factories like Athenian democracies. But by the 1980s, GDP growth was flatlining, absenteeism was rampant, and the whole system reeked of stagnation. Why? Because when you abolish hierarchy, you don't get freedom, you get chaos dressed in democratic drag. The councils became playgrounds for lazy bureaucrats and union thugs who voted themselves bonuses while production plummeted. It wasn't self-management, it was self-sabotage. The Writers Guild strike of 2023 exposed the same cancer. Junior writers, many of whom had never sold a script, demanded equal pay for all, regardless of experience, output, or contribution. Meanwhile, the senior writers, the ones who actually wrote the hits, were expected to carry the burden while sharing their paychecks with slackers. This isn't solidarity, it's parasitism disguised as fairness. The left loves this nonsense because it sounds noble, but it's just another front in the war against excellence. They can't stand the idea that some men, through talent, discipline, and relentless effort, rise above the pack. So they preach equality, knowing full well it means dragging the best men down to the level of the worst. It's envy dressed in a lab coat, and it's killing culture, innovation, and truth. I call this the hierarchy denial cascade. The instant legitimate authority is refused, illegitimate power floods in to take its place. In Yugoslavia, it wasn't the workers managing the factories. It was party loyalists, cronies, and bureaucrats who bent the councils to serve their own interests. In present-day co-ops like New Zealand's Inspiral, group agreement turned every choice into a 2-hour argument where volume, not insight, claimed victory. One founder called it a democracy of mediocrity, where progress stalled because no one held the power to declare, "Stop talking, act." This isn't liberty. This is bondage to meetings, to hesitation, to the rule of what everyone can barely accept. The Greeks saw clearly. In Athens, the archon governed, the strategos led armies, and the philosopher instructed because they proved themselves worthy. They didn't elect Socrates into wisdom. He achieved it through effort, learning, and dedication. The philosophical rot starts with Rousseau, that French fraud who imagined a general will where all men magically agree and harmony reigns. But men are not angels. We are fallen creatures, ambitious, envious, lazy, and proud. Remove structure, and what emerges isn't brotherhood, but Lord of the Flies with better Wi-Fi. The left refuses to accept this because it would mean admitting that their ideology is built on a lie. That human nature can be redesigned by decree, but it can't. You can't vote away biology, and you can't democratize competence. A man who trains 10,000 hours in his craft will outperform the amateur, and no amount of inclusion can change that. The remedy? Build meritocratic communities, guilds, startups, academies, where leadership is earned, not handed out like participation trophies. Study the Spartans, the Romans, the Medici, men who understood that order, discipline, and hierarchy are not oppression, but the foundation of greatness. And let's be brutally honest. The left pushes worker self-management not because it works, but because it destroys. It's a Trojan horse to dismantle meritocracy and install ideological control under the guise of democracy. They don't care about workers, they care about power. And the most dangerous power is the kind that hides behind slogans like equality and solidarity while gutting excellence from the inside. Break the spell, reject the lie. Build something real, something that rewards effort, honors skill, and demands excellence. Because the world doesn't need more committees, it needs leaders. And if you won't lead, don't stand in the way of those who will. I once watched a man trip over his own feet during a high-stakes pitch meeting. Coffee flew. Laptops scattered, silence followed. Then, instead of panicking, he looked up from the floor, grinning, and said, "Well, I did want to make a splash." The room erupted, deals were signed. That wasn't luck. That was character. The kind forged not in victory, but in the graceful acceptance of failure, with a punchline as armor. And it hit me. The modern man has forgotten how to fall, how to own his flaws without shame, how to laugh with the world instead of at it. We've been trained by feminist therapy cults and gynocentric propaganda to obsess over self-esteem like a teenage girl checking her reflection, forever fragile, forever afraid of looking weak. But strength isn't hiding imperfection. Strength is announcing it with a smirk and a wink, because you know it doesn't define you. And that is precisely why the left fears humor, because laughter bypasses ideology, exposes absurdity, and reminds us that we are not gods, we are flawed, mortal, real. Which brings me to the deeper truth I saw in that boardroom, and in every great man who ever lived. The laugh test, can he laugh at himself, the litmus of male self-awareness. "Do you know why men are better than women?" asked a cocky young feminist in a debate I once attended. Before I could answer, she added, "Because men can laugh at themselves." I nearly collapsed, laughing, not because it was funny, but because she had inadvertently spoken the deepest truth while trying to insult. Women, bless their hearts, rarely understand irony, let alone the sacred alchemy of self-deprecating humor. But you, brother, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen the man who stumbles, spills his drink, and says, "Ah, finally," a chance to water the carpet, while the simpering beta beside him turns red and mutters about bad luck. That stumble wasn't a failure, it was a test, and only one man passed, the one who laughed, not nervously, not apologetically, but confidently, as if to say, "Yes, I'm flawed, so what? The world doesn't end when I do." Winston Churchill drunk half the time, napping the other half, and yet the man who stared down Hitler with a cigar and a quip was the archetype of this. He didn't hide his flaws, he wore them like medals. "I have taken more out of alcohol than alcohol has taken out of me," he once said. Can you imagine any modern politician saying that today? No, because today's leaders are not men, they are performers, fragile puppets of image, terrified of any crack in the facade. Churchill could mock himself because he knew himself. He had passed the Socratic command, "Know soten, know thyself," and in knowing he was free. Modern Sigma males, they're not Sigmas, they're Sigma posers, men who post gym selfies with captions like "no days off" and "stay hard," yet would implode if someone laughed at their hairline. They can't joke about their insecurities because they're living them. They're not stoic, they're petrified. Stoicism isn't the absence of emotion, it's mastery over emotion, and mastery begins with seeing the joke. Look at Andrew Tate in his early videos. Yes, the same man the feminist hordes want burned at the stake. Watch closely, he mocks his own persona. He parodies the top G, he laughs at his ridiculousness, he leans into the absurdity. That's not weakness, that's leverage. He disarms critics by being the first to laugh, and in doing so he gains control of the narrative. Compare that to the incel who rages at women for rejecting him, or the tradekin who whines about trad wife or no wife. Both brittle as glass, both failing the laugh test. They don't laugh at themselves because they're terrified of what they'd see. A man with no mastery, no self-awareness, just resentment and projection. The humorless man is not strong, he is trapped. He is the prisoner of his own ego, shackled to a false image, unable to evolve, because evolution requires admitting you're not already perfect. There's a psychological truth here, so potent it should be etched above every man's mirror. Self-deprecating humor is the highest status move a man can make. Why? Because only a man who is secure in his value can afford to mock himself. The weaker the man, the louder he shouts, "I am great." The stronger the man, the shrugs and says, "Yeah, I'm great, and I'm a mess." Pass the whiskey. A 2015 study by Kurtz and Algo found that men who use self-deprecating humor are rated as more attractive, more trustworthy, and more socially intelligent. Not less, more. The data doesn't lie. But try telling that to the gynocentric cultists who've spent decades pathologizing male confidence while rewarding female narcissism. Women, by evolutionary design, are hypergamous. They seek the highest status male available. And what do they perceive as high status? Not the man who never fails, but the man who owns his failure with grace. The man who can laugh when he trips isn't hiding weakness. He's demonstrating strength. The one who sulks, he's advertising his fragility. And women smell it like wolves smell fear. I once saw a man trip on a sidewalk outside a coffee shop. He didn't curse, didn't glance around to see who saw. He stood up, brushed himself off, and said, "Gravity's still working, folks, don't worry." The crowd laughed with him. The barkeeper grinned. The woman at the table blushed slightly. He passed. Now picture the alternative. Same trip, same fall. But this man glares at the ground, mutters about stupid pavement, storms inside and demands a free drink because this is unacceptable. He fails. Not because he fell, but because he couldn't manage it. He exposed an ego so brittle that a small physical stumble became a personal insult. That man is open to belief-based control. He'll join the men's rights forum not to improve, but to rage. He'll consume red pill material not for insight, but for approval. He's not chasing truth, he's chasing protection. And protection without self-knowledge is just a shell. This is why the alphabet mafia, the cabal of feminists, Marxists, therapists, educators, and media, propagandists, hate men who can laugh at themselves. Because laughter is anti-fragile. It doesn't just survive criticism, it thrives on it. You can't gaslight a man who's already laughing at his own delusions. You can't guilt-trip a man who mocks his own failures before you can weaponize them. Humor is the immune system of the psyche, and self-deprecating humor, that's herd immunity. The woke left wants men who are brittle, reactive, defensive men they can manipulate with shame, guilt, and false accusations. They want men who take everything personally, who see every critique as an attack, who collapse under the slightest pressure, because those men are easy to control. But the man who laughs at himself, he's unbreakable. He's already disarmed his own weaknesses. He's already seen the joke, and he's not afraid to be human. So here's your drill, not a suggestion, but a command. Every day tell a story that makes you look foolish. Not to degrade yourself, but to liberate yourself. Share a time you got dumped, got fired, got laughed at. Do it with a smile. Respond to teasing with wit, not defensiveness. When someone mocks your bald spot, say, "It's not a bald spot, it's a launch pad for dreams." When they joke about your cooking, say, "I'm not a chef, I'm a conceptual artist in burnt toast." This isn't just comedy, it's training. You're building emotional anti-fragility. You're inoculating yourself against the venom of gynocentric society, where women are shielded from criticism while men are flayed alive for the smallest flaw. You're reclaiming the trivium, your logic, your rhetoric, your grammar, not to win arguments, but to own your narrative, because the man who can laugh at himself is the man who cannot be destroyed by lies. And let's be brutally honest, the statistics don't lie either. 50% of marriages end in divorce, but women initiate 70% of them. False domestic violence accusations. 90% are baseless. yet they destroy careers, families, and lives. Male suicide rate, 4 times higher than women's. And why? Because men are taught to suffer in silence, to never show weakness, to never laugh at the absurdity of it all. Meanwhile, women are encouraged to share their feelings, to cry, to seek help, while men are told to man up. This isn't equality, it's emotional warfare, and the weapon, the denial of humor, of release, of perspective. But we're not buying it anymore. We're laughing, not at women, not at life, but at the absurdity of the system that tried to break us. And in that laughter, we find freedom. The next time someone mocks you, don't clench. Don't retreat. Lean in. Say you're right, I'm ridiculous, but at least I'm consistently ridiculous. That's the laugh test. And if you pass it, you're not just surviving, you're winning. Because the man who can laugh at himself is the man who cannot be defeated. He's already faced the truth. He's already seen the joke. And he's still standing, laughing, drinking, living, while the ideologues scream into the void. You think the world is fair? Try being a man who pays child support to a woman who won't let him see his kids. Judge says she gets final say because gynocentrism is the law. You think feminism fights for equality? Since 1990, over 60 million legal abortions in the US alone, most by women, with zero legal obligation to inform the father. That's not equality. That's unilateral disarmament of fatherhood. You think women are naturally nurturing? Ask the 1 in 3 men falsely accused of domestic violence. Police dragging them out in cuffs while the real aggressor sips tea and texts her support network. You think love is mutual? Then explain why 70% of divorces are filed by women, often after years of silent contempt, emotional starvation, and hypergamous recalibration. Then she cleans him out in family court like a medieval pillager. Wake up. You're not in a partnership. You're in a liability zone. I once watched a man lose his house, kids, and life savings because his wife decided she needed space, code for "I've already picked my next provider." He didn't rage. He didn't curse. He just sat there, hollowed out, like a knight who followed all the rules only to be stabbed by the princess he rescued. That's the modern red pill. Not anger, but grief. For a civilization that taught men to be chivalrous while women were trained to exploit it. The left calls this patriarchy, I call it farce. The patriarchy doesn't let women abort 37 weeks into pregnancy, while men can't miss a child support payment by a single day. The patriarchy doesn't let a woman accuse a man of rape via text message and have him fired before lunch. No, this isn't patriarchy. This is genocracy dressed up as victimology, sanctified by churches of wokeism, where men are the original sin. So here's your freedom. Stop seeking approval from those who profit from your silence. Stop scanning for changes in her hair. Stop rehearsing compliments like a court jester. Stop believing that communication will save you from a woman who sees you as a resource, not a person. Laugh when you trip. Marry late or never. Build something real, community, craft, code, creed, and let your legacy be iron, not sentiment. The West wasn't built by men who asked permission. It was forged by those who said enough, and now so do you. And now the sponsored book introduction, Alphabet Mafia, minority rule through dissenter and common sense. Men of America, I've been called every name in the book. Bigot, sexist, Nazi. Why? Because I refused to kneel to the mob. Because I stood up when they told me to shut up. Because I saw what they're doing to our sons, our faith, our country, and I won't stay silent. This book isn't theory. It's a war manual. If you're sick of being gaslit into apologizing for existing, if you're done watching cowards sell out our future for woke points, this is your rally cry. I spent years tracking the rot. The schools teaching boys to hate their own skin. The courts jailing fathers for protecting their kids. The media painting patriots as terrorists. I watched my neighbor lose his job for refusing to call a grown man ma'am. I saw a veteran freeze to death, while illegants got free hotels. I've got the receipts, the data they bury, the stories they censor, the truths that'll make your blood boil. This isn't for the faint-hearted. If you still think toxic masculinity is a real term or that drag queens belong in kindergarten, put this down and go knit a pride flag. But if you're ready to fight, to learn how Marxists use fake science to mutilate kids, how feminists engineer fatherless crime factories, how globalists swap your birthright for third world votes, keep reading. You'll see why 90% of men dying on job sites aren't privileged, why the CDC hides the link between trans propaganda and teen suicides, and how to gut punch the alphabet mafia before they take your grandkids' gender. I don't do hugs, I do solutions. By the time you finish, you'll know how to dismantle critical race theory in your kids' school, boycott woke corporations into bankruptcy, and vote out the traitors selling our border. You'll see why Hungary's birth rate is soaring while ours tanks, why every inclusive policy ends with white guys in handcuffs, and how to rebuild a world where men aren't punchlines. This isn't hope, it's a roadmap. The left wants you demoralized, divided, defeated. Too bad for them, you've got this book. Now go make the bastards pay. Alphabet Mafia. Minority Rule Through Decentering Common Sense. Written by Konrad Riker. Buy now. Links in description.